Angelic?
No, it's good.
All right.
That was good.
Okay, so Shalom again. The Harav Yaakov Yisrael Lugassi writes in his Sefer, he says, in our generation, unfortunately, we have a lot of Chaim Tovim, a lot of troubles all the time. So he says, what can we do? And he says, dear readers, let me just tell you a few stories that could help us with this, and we could come to our own conclusions. And he writes, during the time of Maharil Diskin, Rabbi Yeshua Lev Diskin, about 115 years ago, 120 years ago in Yerushalayim, Maharil Diskin moved from Brisk to Yerushalayim, and he was one of the biggest chachamim there. And during his time, Rabbi Yisrael David Breverman became a big gadol. When he was a baby, he got extremely ill, and he couldn't breathe. He couldn't breathe, and they tried everything, and nothing helped. His mother picked him up, and it was already Friday afternoon. Didn't know what to do anymore, and she ran to Maharil Diskin. He was the Rav. They lived in the same chatzer, and she's crying, and everybody's like, they don't know what to do. It was a matter of minutes, chas v'shalom. So Maharil Diskin goes, takes the chicken soup of Shabbat, and takes a little bit, a few drops into the baby's mouth. Everything was over. He was perfectly fine. So the Kiddusha of Shabbat and the Kiddusha of Maharil Diskin, he was known to be extremely, Maharil Diskin was extremely holy. And Kavod of Shabbat, and started over the span of a few hours, perfectly fine. Chicken soup, Maharil Diskin's chicken soup. All right, we are going in the order of the Melachot. And in the order of the Melachot, we finished, the last thing that we learned last time was, anyone remember?
Mechabeh mana.
Oh, last week we had the Halachot of Yom Tov, that's why it sounds so distant, right? We're doing Metakel Mana, we're doing a finishing off Boneh, now we're moving to Mechabeh. Mechabeh is, one of the Melachot of Shabbat would be Mechabeh. Mechabeh is putting out a fire. Now, putting out a fire is not just, putting out any fire. If you put out a fire, in order, right, to use this, let's say you have, how do they make charcoal? Real charcoal. You take wood and you burn it, right? While it's burning, you take dirt or you dig a hole in the ground, you put it in the hole in the ground. That's where you actually light it. And you cover it with dirt, and you leave it under the dirt for a day, and then voila, you have charcoal, right? You dig it out, let it dry, and you have perfect charcoal. If you ever stuck and need charcoal, this is one of the best ways to do it, and that's how they would do it. Like they would make charcoal using this method. So comes out Mechabeh in the Mishkan, putting out a fire, like extinguishing a fire. It's only if it's with the purpose of using that which you put out later to kindle fire. You see that? The melacha of the Torah is to use this charcoal that you just created later for lighting. The same thing. Nowadays everybody uses floating wicks. Floating wicks, it might still work like that, but the real wicks, when you put them in the oil, the best thing to do is to light it first. You put it out, you extinguish it, and then when you want to light it, it really lights much better. As opposed to the first time when you light it, it starts fizzing and starts acting out. When you put it out and you rekindle it, that's the way to do it. So extinguishing this wick in order to rekindle it later, that would be the melacha from the Torah, which would be asur, putting out a fire. But If one puts out a fire and his intention is not to kindle it later, right? He just wants to put it out. I don't want this fire. Then that becomes asur midrabanan, right? The isur from the Torah is only if you need this for kindling, for igniting later. Okay, therefore, one who turns off a light on Shabbat, he just wants to sleep, right? He turns off the light. It's not asur from the Torah to turn off a light on Shabbat. It's asur midrabanan. Don't get me wrong. It's asur. You can turn off the light on Shabbat. It's just asur midrabanan, right? Because you don't need this, and you're not making a charcoal, right? In incandescent lights, there is a metal wire that burns. So when you put it out, what do you have? You don't have charcoal. You can't use this as charcoal. It's not your intention that, oh, you know what? Perfect, I'm going to put it out, so next time it'll light better. Not at all. It doesn't work like that. So therefore, it doesn't. It would be asur mide rabbanan. Now with LED, right, or CFL, right? CFL is this twirly. What does it stand for? CFL? Something fluorescent. I forget. Something fluorescent light, right? And LED is low emitting diodes, right? Something like that. So these stuff, they just emit light at all times, and that's what we have. These things are a different mechanism. I don't know exactly how it would be, but again, putting it out, we're still back in the same thing that we're discussing, and it would be asur mide rabbanan. Okay. Now, there's a Mishnah in Masechet Shabbat. Mishnah says that if you have, so you have a lamp, right? What's a lamp? A lamp is a bowl, basically, that contains olive oil. In that lamp, you put a wick, and then you light it. This thing could last 5, 6, 7 hours. If you need something for a prolonged period of time, you only have this much room in the lamp. How much oil can you put in there? So what would they have? They would have another reservoir of oil, right? And they would connect this to this lamp, and it would feed oil into this lamp. So this way you have it for extended period of time. So now the Mishnah says that a person on Friday, he cannot put a vessel with a hole in the bottom, and you fill it with oil, and this thing drips into your lamp to add oil, add fuel to the fire, to add oil into this lamp. Why? Because Chachamim made a gezerah, lest you shall take from that oil that's on the reservoir. What's wrong with taking that oil? That would be like Mechabeh. That is like you're extinguishing the fire. When you take away the fuel from the fire, that's like extinguishing it. And that would be asur. You follow what happened? Let's say you're making salad and you read in the recipe you need 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And you say, oh, where's my olive oil? Ah, there is a bowl of olive oil right here. And you take 3 tablespoons. That is Mechabeh. So Chachamim say that a person should not do this, should not put this bowl of oil, of course, connected to this, so that, because Chas v'Shalom, if one takes, it's a gezerah of Chachamim, that a person would take from it, and that would be asur for a person to take oil from there. I'm not saying that it's not asur min Torah, of course, it's a gezerah of Chachamim, because after all said and done, we go back to the original rule that we mentioned, that if one extinguishes the fire and he doesn't need that fire for later use, then it's not from the Torah. However, a person could, even on Shabbat, put something, let's say your candlesticks are here, and you see there are like sparks coming off, and you're afraid it's going to make like black dots on your tablecloth. You are allowed to put a keli under there, right, in order to avoid that. And that is not considered hotza'at keli meichano, because these little sparks, there are nothing. They're like puff in the air. They just go away. So they don't really affect your keli, right? And right away, as soon as they fall in there, they just extinguish on their own, So that's not a problem. And later you could even remove, after the whole thing is finished, you could even remove that tray, that plate, or that whatever it is that you put it there, and it doesn't become muktzeh because there's nothing on it. It doesn't contain anything real, so that it would make it muktzeh. However, a person says, "Oh no, I'm afraid it's going to make it stain, so I'm going to just put a little bit of water into this plate, into this bowl that I'm putting next to the candle, so when these sparks fall, they'll just get extinguished." That's asur, right? That's mechabeh. If you put water there, right, that's mechabeh. That you're causing that you're making these things fall into it. That would be asur. You can't even do that from before Shabbat. One cannot put next to his candle, right, a bowl of water so that these sparks will fall into this water, because that would be mechabeh on Shabbat. Why? What's the problem? You're doing it from before Shabbat. So they say the reason is because you might say, "Oh, you know what? I'm afraid that this bowl is not going to catch all these sparks, and it's going to lift this plate up, so to catch it." And that's mamash. That's really mechabeh. That's really putting out these stuff. So in order that a person should not do that, Chachamim were machmir on kibui. When it comes to extinguishing, Chachamim were machmir. And they said you cannot do that. And they know, and being that people cannot really distinguish, is it the melacha she'tzericha legufa, or is it melacha she'ena tzericha legufa, i.e., as we explained before. Over here, what is the melacha she'ena tzericha legufa? When you are extinguishing this fire, you are extinguishing it for later use. That would make it asur from the Torah. When you're extinguishing the fire, not for later use, that means I don't care. I just want this fire out. That's melacha she'ena tzericha legufa, right? And that would have been allowed. But people cannot differentiate. So when it comes to kibui, and they say, "Oh, you're allowed to." The rabbi said you're allowed to even turn the light off on Shabbat. Come on. So because of that, Chachamim were very machmir, and they said you can't even put from before Shabbat a bowl of water next to your candle so that the sparks will fall on it. We cannot do that. Chachamim were machmir on this, and they said you can't do this. This is Gemara Masechet Shabbat. This is not something.
So what happens if something has the potential of becoming dangerous?
We're going to talk about danger, right? But right now, let's discuss this. The whole idea here was to catch those sparks, right? Now, let's go step by step. If a person, whoever lights with, it's a mitzvah, as you know, in the second parak of Masechet Shabbat, it says, in Mechabeh Likin, it says the best thing to light Shabbat candles with is olive oil. Whoever lights with olive oil, Hashem gives them manim, the chachamim, and it's a beautiful thing. So now, olive oil, a lot of people, as we know, they put a little bit of olive oil and they put water underneath. So that becomes the same idea. Why are they putting water? So that when the wick goes down, it'll get extinguished. That's exactly what we're mentioning here. That's why you can't put a bowl of water next to it so that it'll extinguish the fire. So what's the difference? Why can we do this and why can't we do that? You follow?
You're not going to move them water around.
You can't move the water. You're not going to add that water.
Yeah, that's cute. Yeah, but really, your intention is not that it should get extinguished, because
Right, that's
your whole intention is to raise the level of the fire. That's all. You're not doing it so that when the wick gets there, it'll. So what? It's gonna get extinguished anyways. I don't need
So why
that
not
water.
add more oil to raise it?
You want to?
Why don't you fill it up? You don't waste
You could.
It's such a waste of
You
water.
could, but it's. But why? You don't
I
need,
heard that you're not
It's gonna be
supposed
lit
to, so
forever.
I started
because
doing
it's a
it.
waste. Because it's a waste. What do you
It's
need?
gonna be lit for like 6 hours.
Yeah, never
It's
gonna
not. If you put that much oil, it's gonna be lit.
It's longer, yeah, but
Stay
I
longer.
thought you're not allowed to, so I stopped putting the water.
I mean, you know why you're not allowed to? Because it's a waste. The whole Shabbat you want this thing to be on.
add water.
I'm sorry, I lost it.
I heard you're not allowed to put the water on the bottom.
In the cup.
On Shabbat you can't, right? Before Shabbat, of course. There is Kabbalistically also it's a big thing, to have olive oil over the water, that we are, Am Israel is like olive oil. Goyim are like water. Ma'im zedonim. And we overcome them. Like, we
So
are,
we should put water?
at least a little bit, yeah, for sure.
Totally the opposite of what I meant.
Where did you hear that? Some Kabbalah?
Someone told me, no.
Okay, so let's see in the Sefer, then we'll discuss it. But all right. So that's the reason why. The reason why we have water there, it's in order to elevate the oil, so we could see it. You don't want the wick all the way down there. You can't see it. So you put the water, and it brings it up, and this way we could see it. And Baruch Hashem, that's perfectly fine, and we could do it. Now, some people, we're good with this so far. So some people they use a tray. They put a tray there to catch the oil that might get sprayed onto the tablecloth. That's asur to do on Shabbat. You could do it before Shabbat. You could put a tray underneath, but on Shabbat to put it there, that's asur. Why is that? That's called hotza'at keli meichano, right? That makes this plate muktzeh. Right? Hotza'at keli meichano. That means heichano. That means this keli, this vessel, this plate, this tray was set aside usually for eating or for whatever it was, not for this, not to catch oil. Like, and now you put it there, you make it batel. It's sort of like, you're getting it stuck there, like, on Shabbat, and that we can't do. Right.
On the similar note of the olive oil for the candles,
Right.
is it better does it say anywhere about it being extra virgin olive oil?
I'll refer you to a shiur that Rabbi Mordechai Kuber gave in the Kollel Chanukah time, talking about the extra virgin olive oil and regular. There's not that much of a difference, really. I haven't seen. In Israel, they sell shemen zayit zach, like, that's they want to say that it's very clear olive oil. Really, the difference would be just light's better. Some of them don't light as good. They don't get absorbed into the wick as good. And the other ones, the light ones especially, they get absorbed into the wick much easier.
Does that have anything to do with Mehudar making it?
As long as you know for sure it's olive oil, you're good. Sometimes, some of them they're not. Some of them they're just a mixture. Baruch Hashem, they start writing on it, at least like a blend. In Israel, a couple of years back, they had a whole report how most of the olive oils were fake. They were all like canola oil, like, people were like buying it for Hanukkah. It was like a big deal. Now it's gotten better, I think. All right. So on before Shabbat, the person could put, like, everybody does. They have these trays that they put under the thing. That's for sure. That's not a problem at all. Before Shabbat, you put it there for this purpose. You designate it for this. That's not the Isur of Hotza'at Keli Meichano, and therefore that would be allowed.
Where should you do this on Shabbat anyway?
On Shabbat, we said it would make it Hotza'at Keli Meichano.
Move the candles and put it on top of this tray. How can you even do it?
Oh, no, you put it next to it. Of course, you
that's
can't. That on Shabbat, Chas v'Shalom, we can't move it. We're going to get to that. You can't move the candles. Even after it's put out, you can't move it. It's mukseh. Now, let's say, Chas v'Shalom, someone is not feeling well, right? He's not even cholesh sheyesh bo sakana. Someone is just not feeling well and he doesn't want the light, right? Can you tell a goy, Mustafa, come turn the light off, right? You're allowed to. Because as we mentioned, the turning the light off on Shabbat is Isur D'Rabbanan. And in a case where it bothers this person, this poor guy, this person who is sick, you could tell a guy, literally, not tell him, oh, you know what, it would be so nice if this room would be dark. You don't have to even hint him. He said, turn it off.
Only if they're sick?
What?
Only if they're sick?
If he's not feeling well, the light bothers him. Let's say his eyes is hurting. And the light really bothers him. So, you would like, it would be a big discomfort for him. You could tell a guy to turn it off. Even, it's a cholesh she'ein bo sakana, right? There's no danger. You could do it, and
But a normal person, a healthy person wouldn't be able to...
No. If he wants to sleep, then you use the kosher switch stick, like, oh, my light is on, like, forget it. I won't even go there. Now, if a person, are we allowed now to move the candle out of the room by a Jew, like, that is absolutely asur, right? Because over here we're talking about moving a candle, Shabbat, that we can't do, because when you move it, two things could happen. One, it could be mav'ir, you're kindling, you're adding light to the wick, or you're moving the oil away from the wick and it lowers it. So it could be Mechabeh or it could be mav'ir. It could be both. You follow what happens? Because when you tilt it in a certain way, more oil gets to the wick and then your light goes up. Or if you move it the other way, the oil goes away from the wick and your light goes down. Either way is asur, is a problem. So we can't move it. Shemei Shabbat Keir Chata brings down that you could do it. So Ravadi says, no way. You cannot move the candle out of the room. A Jew cannot move the candle out of the room. That we can't do.
What if it's already gone out?
It's already gone out. Also, it's muktzeh. Once it was lit in the beginning of Shabbat, Shulchan Aruch says you cannot move it. Some want to say that the tzorach gufo umkomo you could move it, but no. Maran says this is Shulchan Aruch brings that there are some that say you could move it. The tzorach gufo umkomo, and he says, and it does not appear to be correct, and he says you can't.
Is it the same thing on Yom Tov? Does it make difference?
On Yom Tov, you say it's okay?
There's okay.
Of course, it's okay.
Yeah, you have to.
You're allowed to cooking, fire. You just can't kindle, but
So what's the story of the match?
just put it down gently. Is that your question?
On Yom Tov?
So let's
You
say I
can't
put
put
it
it out.
down on the matchbox and then I realize like maybe it's not fully out. And I get nervous and I reset the bracha.
On Yom Tov you're talking, or on Shabbat?
Shabbat.
Oh,
You put the match up.
okay, so what? Where is the matchbox? If it's on a metal tray, don't worry about it, so the whole thing
No,
will
I have a wooden.
ignite.
It's a wooden shell.
Then you're dealing with danger, right? So you need to do something smarter, like, maybe move it to a safer place, You can't put it out, but what you could do is you could move it to a safer place.
Can I put it in the sink?
In a sink, there's water in the sink?
Droplets.
No,
And it's not allowed.
we can't drop. We can't do Chilul Shabbat. But hold on, you lit the candle, that's already a different situation. Were you Mechabeh Shabbat when you lit the candle?
She's
That's
saying
a
she
question.
is. I didn't say the bracha, no.
What?
I didn't say the bracha.
By saying the Baracha, you're not Mechabeh Shabbat.
Yeah.
So
Explain.
For
I
us.
heard Spartim don't
Right.
if you've lit before the time, you can still do malacha technically after you.
Technically,
lit.
yes.
Right.
Especially,
So, let's say you light, you made the bracha, and then your thing goes out.
we make the Baracha, then we light.
Okay, yeah, fine.
Right.
And then it goes out. Can you light it again?
You made the Baracha,
What? Yeah.
and then you lit the candle.
Yeah,
Wait, what?
If it's not Shabbat yet,
right.
I don't
Why
remember.
not?
yeah.
You light
why
it
not?
again, right?
Because you
That
said
feels
the
good.
malacha after you.
Right, that's what.
Yeah.
But
It's better once a year, let's say before Rosh Hashanah, you say to yourself, you make it tonight, you make a condition, you say, I do not accept Shabbat with the lighting of the candle. Then, for sure, not a problem. You can do
What's in it? You light first and then make the bracha?
it. No, you make a beracha, and then you light.
Do you do the minhag of your mother?
You do what Moran says in the Shulchan Aruch.
I thought it was
But that's not what Ben
when
Ish
you
Chai
say the
says.
bracha, you're
Yeah, I never
Mechabeh
switched
Shabbat
that
and you're
over.
breaking-
No, that's Sephardim, no. We don't.
I've been trained it wrong by
But
my
Ben
mother.
Ish Chai says it's fine.
Ashkenazi way or no?
I don't want to create anything. Ask your local rabbi. According to Maran, Rabbi Yosef, Zecher Tzadik V'Kadosh Livracha, one has to make a beracha and then light the candles. Just like any mitzvah, you make the beracha first, and then you perform the mitzvah.
Doesn't go by
I
minhag
never switched it
at all?
What
I
minhag?
agree.
This is
In
the
Iran
halacha.
and stuff, and my
I don't
husband
know.
is saying it goes by minhag.
No, listen, again, whatever your husband says, that's
That's it.
your husband is the posek
Send us a
halacha.
reminder text this time.
This is getting
Yeah, that
recorded.
was
Don't
what I was
forget.
doing.
I'm sure he'll-
I knew that wasn't the
I don't need
correct
trouble
word, but I
from the
never
husbands
that
coming
over.
to terrorize. Okay.
Also,
I don't
so
know why
you
you're
said we
throwing
can't throw away the once the tea lights are out, we can't touch them and throw them away. For those OCD people, we can't see them.
Oh, again. What was that again?
The tea lights are
The
already
tea
out.
lights.
You can't throw them away during Shabbat, right?
So there are some OCD people that are things. Very good question. So they talk about that. This person goes nuts if they see these things over there.
Definitely.
So in those cases, because it really becomes bothersome to them, then with a shinui, with their elbows or something like to get them out of the way, they could do that. But average people that they're not OCD, right? Then it's mukseh. You can't move it. It's mukseh.
What difference
On
does it
Yom
make if the
Tov?
OCD or not?
On Yom
Shabbat is
Tov?
Shabbat.
A person who is OCD. No, remember this isur is midrabanan. So a person who is OCD, this person can't go to sleep. They go crazy. Their whole Shabbat is messed up. They can't eat. They can't. I'm telling you, it just doesn't go. So for them, poor things, of course, it becomes tsar. It's a tsar for them. So no, seriously, that they really have this issue. Now, it says in the Shulchan Aruch, Maran writes gechelet, a charcoal, right, which is in a place that people could get damaged by it. A person could put it out on Shabbat, right? Doesn't matter if it's matechet, if it's metal, or if it's wood, whichever type of a coal it is. It would both of them. This is Shulchan Aruch in Siman Shin Lamed Dalet Seif Chaf Zayin. Maran writes that if it's gechelet, if there is a charcoal in a place that people could get damaged by it, could get hurt, could get burnt, you could put it out. Why? Because
Water, you just put water.
yeah, because it's a isur derabanan. We say it's asur, and your intention here is not so that I'll have charcoal for later use. So therefore, it becomes derabanan, and in a place of nezek, damage, chachamim allow that a person could go ahead and put it out. Chas v'shalom, you're walking on the street, you see a power line is down, right? We know there were cases that people, bar minan, terrible things happen, and the person could go ahead and report it to the DWP or whoever, wherever it is, could go ahead and report it because this is an extreme danger. It's a sakana for people that are walking, and go ahead and report it to them that they should come and disconnect it and fix it or whatever they're going to do. Nowadays, yes.
If you see a fire, should you find someone to call 911 or just call yourself?
So let's get to it. So nowadays, the metziut, the reality is that if chas v'shalom, we're living in places like, there are homes and there's like, the way it's set up, the systems are that, we have electricity, we have gas. Like, if there is a fire, right, and it's not contained, it could cause a lot of danger because the fire could get to very quickly. Chas v'shalom could get to the places where the gas lines are. There's the electric fire. There's unfortunately we had the terrible experience this year, and it's pikuach nefesh. It's not just like it's contained. It's pikuach nefesh. In that case, we have to call the authorities, whoever it is, fire department, police, whatever it is, right away in order to stop the sakana. No question about that. Your question is what? That we should call or wait?
Is it better to find someone else to call or you just call?
You don't wait.
You don't.
These things. But again, this is we're talking dangerous situation. Let's say chas v'shalom there is fire, right? And we know clearly that there is no sakana. It's contained. It's inside the sink, right? It's inside the sink. I remember one of the guys, he was living in some place, and the landlords did not allow him to light Shabbat candles only in the sink. Inside this stainless steel sink, that's where they allowed him to light the candles. Okay, so that's well contained. Look, they were scared. And so let's say whatever they have a it's inside a tray and there is a fire there. So what do? The only thing that's going to be damaged is going to be monetary loss, right? Maybe maybe a kitchen cabinet is going to burn, nothing more, right? It would be contained. Whatever the case is, you know that it's not much is going to happen. So that person in that case cannot put the fire out. But what he could do is he could cause the fire to be put out. How? You're allowed to fill soda bottles, these plastic bottles, with water, and put it all around. So when the fire starts moving to that direction, boom, these things are going to pop and they're going to put out the fire. That a person, or you take balloons or plastic bags and you fill it with water, like in a kosher way, tie it up.
You can't tie it.
Right, don't make a knot. Those metal knots or whatever. Best thing is these bottles. They're awesome. And then when the fire goes there, it just pops, it just explodes, and then you have self-extinguishing things. That a person could do.
So, let's say we just lit the candles, said the bracha, accepted Shabbat, and we realize that the match has created a little fire. And it's getting bigger, and there are other matches there, and
So take a couple of plastic cups and fill them with water, put them all around that area, right?
I'm not doing that.
Then
You can't do that.
it's cute.
Right, it's scary.
That's like worse.
Watch it. You just standing there and watch it. Don't worry. It's not that big of a deal. Small fire, you could contain it like that. If you're scared that, chas v'shalom, the fire is going to go up and burn other things and everything, then there are other ways to deal with it.
Okay, well, we don't have access to you at that point, so what do we do?
So no, I'm saying, look, they're giving us great ideas. That what you could do is you could do gram kibui. This is called a cause. You're not directly putting it out. You're just leaving the water there. Nothing. You're not doing anything. And the heat is going to cause that this plastic is going to melt, and then whoosh, the water is going to come on it and just put it out.
But what if you have kids around? Yeah, could you give the kid like a bottle of water?
To drink?
Pour on it. Drink.
You know what I'm saying? The kid is going to say, "Oh, thank you so much. I couldn't give it water." And they're going to drink. You want to tell the child, pour this water onto this fire. Shabbat. I don't know. I have to get back to you on that one. In the meanwhile, don't play with matches. And don't put your match on the matchbox.
We put it in a glass with a candle happening.
We've had cases like that. In Israel one time, there's a lot of people and they all lit candles, and then the whole thing got mushed together and it was a big fire. So we just lifted the whole tray and we put it in the outside in the balcony.
It was candles, right?
What? Yeah, it was like it's candles. Yeah. Oil, yeah. I mean, you have to keep calm and take care of it. It's not that big of a deal. It's not. Now, if chas v'shalom fire is on the tablecloth, right, and it's moving, so you can't put water on it. What can you do? On the other side of the tablecloth, put water, right, and then as the fire is moving up, it's going to get extinguished.
You have a wood table under.
Worst comes to worst, the top of your table is going to burn. That's all. It's just money. You can't be over on a Isur, in order to do this. Again, if we're saying that the danger is contained, if chas v'shalom, the danger is there, and it could, you have carpeting, especially you have carpeting or other flammable things around, then of course you have to put it out. What's the question?
But Rabbi, you don't know how long it's going to be contained for.
You have to watch it.
But I can't stand there and watch it.
Patience. What do you mean? Why?
Because you're scared.
Small
It's like you're
thing.
home. Your kid is there. It's
Run
scary.
out of the house. No, I'm just kidding. They're giving us a lot of good advice. This is from the Gemara. The Gemara says you take a kilicheres, you take clay vessels, and you fill them with water, put them all around it, and then as the fire moves along, because again and again, this is only if you know that the fire is going to be contained. If you have the smallest doubt, then you call fire department, or call some emergency things, or you could just pour water, if you think that the situation is you were dealing with danger, of course, there's no question. You have to put it out. Now, going back to the tablecloth, remember, you can only put water on a tablecloth if it's clean. If the tablecloth is dirty, then you're laundering. That's right.
Forget it.
So make sure you spill the water on those clean
Good
spots
thing I've got it.
to stop the fire.
Stop lighting up.
Okay, just okay. If there was a fire, chas v'shalom, and again, there is no, you know that there is no danger. Chachamim said that you can't tell a goy directly to put it out, right? Why? Because a person can't stand there watching his table getting burnt or his stuff getting burnt. What is he going to do? He's going to do it himself. He's going to say, oh, what's the difference? I'm telling Mustafa to do it. I'll do it myself, right? Gemara's terminology is mitoch she'adam bahul al mamono. A person is very agitated, very scared of his assets. So he's not gonna he's not gonna go ahead and if you allow him to tell a goy to do it, he's gonna do it himself. So therefore, what is a person allowed to do? You could tell it in front of the goy. You have to tell him. It says, whoever puts this fire out will be rewarded, right? He's not gonna lose out. Trust me, he's not gonna lose out. And then hopefully Mustafa will be smart enough and he's going to understand and put it out on his own, right? And for sure, if the goy, like, he was a good Samaritan, right? And he wants to go, he wants to be a tzaddik, and he comes and says, chas v'shalom, there's fire, and puts it out. Don't stop him and say, no, don't, it's Shabbat, don't put out the fire. Let him do it, no problem. However, if there are sefarim, they have, there's a Chumashim, there's Sefarim, there's Mezuzot, that they're in danger. You could tell Mustafa directly to put the fire out. Okay? Good. Now, as we said, this is all
We're gonna
chas
try and
v'shalom.
remember all
What?
this when the fire is
Yeah.
going.
Let me grab my notebook.
No, this is first thing you do. Grab those bottles, fill them with water. That's the first thing you have to do. Chas v'shalom. It should never happen. So now, as we mentioned before, these candlesticks, what are they called? The candelabras, right? They are muktzeh. You cannot move them on Shabbat, even after the candles are out, right? Now, if before Shabbat you said, I want to move these things, right? I want to move these things out of here. I have guests. I have people coming in. I don't want this. I don't want these things around, and I need this. Then, if you before Shabbat you say, you make a precondition that I want to move these, then you are allowed to do it, and you don't have to every Shabbat make the condition. Once a year, you say this. You make a condition and say, once my candlesticks are out, I would like to move them out of here. That's no problem. You could move it. Ashkenazim, by the way, they're machmir on this. They do not move them, even if they make it tonight. That's the Haggah. Haggah brings down, the Ramah brings down in the Shulchan Aruch that they do not move the candlesticks, even if they made a condition. But according to the Shulchan Aruch, one could go ahead and do that. Now, if you have just a little side note, if you have expensive candlesticks, you don't even use them. They're just there for beauty, right? And you never lit them. You just want to show off, right? They're in the closet or in the whatever it is. They're not muktzeh at all. They're not muktzeh at all. And one is allowed to move them even on Shabbat, right? Because there is no halacha of muktzeh on them. The same halacha is if you have expensive the picture frames or a wall clock, these things, they're not muktzeh. They say they fell on Shabbat. One is allowed to pick them up and put them back there. It doesn't go into the halachot of muktzeh.
So if I had in mind that I'm lighting the candles on the counter and then I'm going to want to move them later when they're extinguished, it's okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's exactly what we said. You could make a condition to do that.
Like not a candle.